This is Inside Indiana Business Radio on demand for Monday, June 16th, 2025. I'm Gary Dick. Well, NBA teams have generated billions of dollars in revenue since the league approved sponsor patches for jerseys. For the Indiana Pacers, it's Fishers-based tech startup SpokeNote, and what Sports Illustrated describes as perhaps the most eye-grabbing sponsorship yet, a QR code that links fans to unique Pacers content. Founder John Wexler says the Pacers' run to the NBA Finals has generated calls from sports leagues, player agents, and others interested in connecting.
For SpokeNote, the halo effect means that people want to come and work for us. They want to work with us. They return our calls. And so really our challenge is how do we parlay this moment? The spotlight is really bright, but how do we parlay this into meaningful business for the company? And that's really what we're all focused on.
The Trump administration on Friday signed an executive order paving the way for a Nippon Steel investment in U.S. Steel, so long as the Japanese company complies with a, quote, national security agreement submitted by the federal government. The iconic American steelmaker and Nippon Steel said in a joint statement, the agreement stipulates that approximately $11 billion in new investment will be made by 2028 and includes giving the U.S. government a, quote, golden share, essentially veto power to ensure the country's national security interests are protected against cutbacks in steel production. Slate Auto's planned operations are coming further into focus as the Kosciuszko County Council has formally approved a series of tax abatements for the emergent EV automaker. Slate is planning to spend close to $362 million in upgrades to the former R.R. Donnelley printing plant on the western edge of Warsaw and add 2,000 jobs. From the state's number one source for Indiana business news, you're listening to Inside Indiana Business Radio. Indiana's economy is on the move, and every region has a role to play. Join IBJ Media and Inside Indiana Business for the Innovate Indiana series, presented by Indiana University and Old National Bank. We're traveling to 10 regions across the state to spotlight business growth, workforce development, innovation, and Indiana's tech hubs. Don't miss this front row look at Indiana's future and the growth opportunities in your region. Find out when we'll be in your area at ibj.com/innovate. Nearly 1,000 union workers at Duke Energy, Indiana, are preparing for what they are calling an imminent work stoppage over a contract dispute with the Plainfield-based utility. The Indiana Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 1393 on Friday cited the continued refusal to agree to a fair labor contract by Duke. Key issues, according to the union, are equitable wage increases and addressing ongoing concerns over rising health insurance costs over the life of a potential new agreement.
We've seen our workforce be completely depleted. In fact, we started negotiations with 1,065 members. We're down to 987. We go back to 2013, we've lost over 250 members. In fact, in generation alone, we've lost 50% of our workforce. Majority of the proposals taken to the company at these negotiations were to force those few remaining employees to work more hours. They wanted 12-hour shifts across the board, requiring them to work an additional 16, 18-hour shifts on a daily basis.
Indiana's revenue collections exceeded the most recent projections last month. The Indiana State Budget Agency says that general fund revenues in May totaled $1.6 billion, which was $23.2 million higher than the April 2025 forecast, or about 1.5%. Seeking to preserve the habitats of turtles, bats, and some species of birds, Central Indiana Land Trust has announced the purchase of 80 acres of land in Brown County for conservation. The land sits in the northern part of the county near the border with Johnson County in an area the Land Trust has dubbed the Hills of Gold Conservation Area. This is Gary Dick for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.